Right, so you get to your peg. Now, back in 1970s and 80s, there weren't much choice around pegging, and there were matches obviously, but there were nothing like there is today. But when it comes to a pleasure session, like I'm going to have today, there were no there was no determination to dive on one of the best pegs, or that they're a profound peg on a certain venue. It would pretty much just turn up and fish. And as you can see, stuff like my rod, don't know what it's made out of, huge cork handle. This is my landing net, which for 70s and 80s standard, this is pretty modern. And then just a tub of maggots. Not going to use a float today, but just to give you an example. That's a float from many years ago. That there's a few casters in and maggots as well. I've had to modernise it, obviously. Got some pellets from Revolution Baits, some Little Bees sea nut pellets. I've also got some Brazem Yellow Enhancer, and then the trusty old, which everybody knows and loves, Revolution Baits GG Green. Now, 70s and 80s, what we were doing for ground bait? Well, from what I've read, crushed up biscuits, lots and lots of breadcrumb. There were loads of talk around using different ingredients like flour and wheat and oats and grinding it up. But one of the most common ones I've seen is mainly biscuit and ground bait. So I imagine, like today, it'd be a case of going to the shop, getting a couple of packs of digestives, crushing them up, which isn't a bad idea, to be fair. It's probably one I could try. But I'm going to modernise it today by using Revolution Baits ground bait, pellets, maggots, and that's pretty much it. But there is one thing that I need to try that somebody suggested. So during a recent video, and I say recent, I've had some time off, so I think it was probably a couple of videos ago, someone suggested the old hair curlers as feeders. And I've heard that before. I think I've seen a few done before as well from a long time ago. Now, I've not had a chance to find any really, really old hair curlers. And I know from years ago they were made out of wire, I believe. And now everything's just plastics. It's easy and cheap to make, and it's even cheaper to throw away. So what I've done is, I've picked up some hair curlers, I've put my own twist on them, and hopefully it meets your standards. But first I'm going to get set up, get my ground bait mixed, get my pellets done, and that's pretty much it. I ain't really got much to do, so I'm going to get all that sorted, and I'm going to talk to you about my feeder choice. Right, ground bait, nice and simple. So you've seen me mix it up plenty of times on here before. Search through YouTube, loads of the places, you'll see a million different opinions and different ways on how to mix your ground bait. But ultimately, you want to get your ground bait and you want to add just enough water to where it's claggy and it can stick, but you don't want it too sloppy, because the only way to save it then is to add more ground bait. And I don't know what kind of day we're going to have, so all I've done is I've got a kilo in here. I've added enough water just to a point where you can get a squeeze and it just holds together like that. That's all I want. Now, where's my cloth? In more modern times, what we'd do is we'd soak his pellets separately, and then we'd add them into his mix, or we'd use them separately, or we'd just add them into his feeder every time we cast out the ground bait with his maggots in or whatever, and we can control just how much feed we're putting through his feeder. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to get me Little Bees sea nut pellets, which when you purchase, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, you get a free tub of randoms in there, 4s, 6s and 8mm. So if you want to fish them on a band, you can feed them if you want, if you're allowed, but you can fish them on a band as well. It just means that whenever you buy a bag of pellets from Revolution Baits, you don't go without any hook bait as well. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple of handfuls of pellets like that, just drop them in. Now, it might not seem a lot, because it isn't, but whilst ever they're not soaked up, them pellets, they're still going to have a bit of a crunch to them. But this mix has been done just enough so that there's still plenty of moisture in it, and those pellets will help take on some of that moisture from the ground bait, and also they'll soak up as well. So then all you've got is a nice base mix with just micros in it. Those micros will keep fish grubbing about. So what I'm after today is skimmers, roach. Don't really know what else is in here, to be fair. I know it's a carp venue, so I know people just come down here, chuck out a few rockets, Armageddon happens and they just sit and wait for some alarms to go off. Well, I'm not here for that today. I'm here for some roach and some skimmers. I'd even settle for a few perch, I think. Let's see what happens. But the pellets in that will keep the fish grubbing around. And then I'm going to fish maggot over the top. I'm going to feed maggot in my feeder, should I need to. If bites become heavy, I'm not going to put any maggots in my feeder. I'm just going to use the base mix, which is just my ground bait and pellets with a maggot on the hook. If I start getting periods where it goes quiet and I start losing bites and I'm waiting longer for a bite or an indication, then I'll chuck a couple of maggots in my feeder on top as well and cast it out, just to try and draw some fish back in, or at least get them interested. That's the plan. Really simple day's fishing. That's my ground bait done and my pellets. I've also got some Brazem Yellow Enhancer, which from the other videos you might have seen. This stuff, you can't go anywhere without it. You can either spray it onto a method feeder, which I love to do. There's been occasions where I've not sprayed this onto a feeder deliberately for 5 casts. I've not had a single bite. Spray this on and cast it out, and rod just absolutely rips around. I'm just going to pour some of that in there as well. Lid back on. Just get another mix. So that, along with the GG Green and those little bees seen up micros, I've got a perfect mix there. Just to lay a couple of maggots over the top, and we are many fish that are showing, and there's lots of them. I think we might be in for a good day. But it's the first time I've fished on here in probably 15 years. It's a carp water, and I don't normally see people fishing it for small stuff. So today's going to be a school day. It's just nice to be out. I've had a really bad few weeks, and I thought this is best sort of therapy I can aim for. So I want to get a reel on my rod, I want to get a rig set up, and we'll catch some fish. Now, feeders. This is where it gets exciting for me. So I read that loads of people were using air curlers back in the day, like I mentioned before. There are a few different homemade feeders, and there were tackle firms making feeders. But when somebody said air curlers, I had to get on eBay. Now, I think them, for a pack of, I think there were 24 hair curlers in that for about £7. Now obviously look at the sizes. Some of them are huge. You get a large one, medium one and a small one, but the small one's pretty massive as well. And then there were these. So they're a little bit longer, but they're really narrow. So I thought I could always just cut them down and put a swivel on it, or crimp some line on it for a little sling to attach it onto my rig. But then I thought, well, I'm going to weigh it down. I'll show you. So here's one of the large feeders. Now, as you can see, these feeders come with a hair grip, what you use when you're curling your hair and everything. You know what I mean, how they used to curl their hair back in the day. And well, I think they still curl the hair that way now, but a lot of people don't. Anyway, there's plug-in machines, you can just do it in a couple of seconds. But this is still an option, as it is for fishing. So what I've done is, I've put the hair grip onto the feeder, bent it over at the bottom, and I've put 4 little 10mm tiny bolts just holding it still. And that also gives me a bit of weight to cast it out and to sit it upright on lake bed. Now these hair grips have little tiny holes in the top there, so I thought, why not waste it? I can utilise that. That's where I'm going to clip my feeder clip on, and that's it, it's ready to go. Just pack it full of bait and whack it out. Now I have made a few different options, so I thought that the medium ones of the pink hair curlers were ideal. So I've made some of them exactly the same principle, same weight, hair clip on there. I can just hook it straight on. That's one I'm going to be using to start with. So it's one of them tiny little black ones, and I've trimmed it down a little bit, and I've actually used a bit of the plastic that's already on it, made a hole, and that way I can just clip it straight on with just one 10mm bolt in there. I don't know how much it weighs, I need to do that bit yet. But I've also made these little tiny ones. Look at that, how cool is that? Little tiny one, and those 3 are just one of these cut into 3, and that's it. I ain't put any weight on these yet, so I can't use them, but I don't really want a small feeder today anyway, especially that small. But a little bit of lead in there, or a little bit of I don't know, super glue, a little nut in there or something, and that'll cast just fine. You don't need those to be heavy. But that's the principle. These are the hair curlers. They're nothing like what they used to be, and I also had the option to take all this off, but I thought I'd leave it on. It's a bit abrasive, and it might help my groundbait stick to the outside of the feeder, and that's something else I'm going to test today, just to see if that has any advantage or not. I can't see why it wouldn't. I feel like it's going to hold loads of bait inside it, it's going to keep it in, and if loads of bait sticks to outside of feeder, then that's only a benefit anyway. So I'm going to talk you through my rig, and then hopefully I'm going to get chucked out and get covered in some slime. Right, to the business end. So, feeder. Let me just let some line off. Feeder. Simple as that. Now, on here, and like most places nowadays, you've got to have a running rig. Fish safety is absolutely imperative. You can't go cracking off, you can't go losing fish. Certainly can't go cracking off, losing fish with stuff like this attached to it. So it's got to be free running. So if I snap off here, or even down here, I get my feeder back. But if I snap off up here, fish can take the hook link, obviously lose that at some point. There's less for that to get snagged on, but more importantly, it'll dump the feeder. Yeah. So a running rig. So if I get snapped off above my hook length, I'm going to be without a feeder, but so is a fish, and that's the most important bit. So I've got one of the small hair curlers on with a 10mm bolt in there. It just bolted in like that, a nutting bottom, bolting top, and I've used the plastic that's actually on the hair curler, made a hole in it, and I've hooked a Preston Innovations feeder link swivel in there. Nice and simple, really strong. Don't use anything other than Preston Innovations when it comes to kit like this. And that slides up and down my main line. Next, on my main line, I've got another link swivel. So that means it's a buffer for my feeder to sit up against there without it hitting my hook length. It means I can use a free running rig, and more importantly, that clip means I can undo this bit of line, which isn't my hook length. So down from there, I've got this, which is 017 reflow power from Preston Innovations again. And then I've got another, just a quick link down there. So a loop end of that line, a quick link, and then a tiny little 2.5 inch hook length, which is 011. Now, might seem like the wrong thing to do, but this thicker reflow power line against this really slim reflow power line, this acts as a really floppy hook length. So when it comes to inhaling by fish, it's really lightweight, it reacts really quickly, it's more manoeuvrable than obviously the thicker line. And this thicker line here aids me, so when my feeder lands, this will bow more and it'll help my hook length fall down nice and straight. Obviously I can straighten my feeder up by pulling it towards me a little bit as well, but it means that when it lands on bottom, I've got this tiny little hook length here, which can move around at its own will, meaning all this can lay flat. That little link swivel there acts as like a hooking shot, so to speak, and it means this can just swivel straight up into a fish's mouth, nice and easy, and I just think it aids with hooking. Now, wherever allows it, you can do it. Might be a bit controversial. I know some people aren't that keen on it, but I learnt that off another chap at Preston Innovations. It works an absolute treat for me, and today I'm going to see if it works down here. That is I've got a size 16 up, which is barbless, 011 hook length, like I've just said, a hook length, 017 reflow power, nice and stiff, feeder link, and then it's ran away from me, but another feeder link with my feeder on. Nice and easy, really simple, and I can just pack my feed in there nice and easy. Main line is 019 main line. It seems really heavy, but it's actually quite a low breaking strain. It's just a thin line. This is not Preston. This is actually what I got many moons ago to load up a centre pin reel for fishing rivers, keeping line nice and straight. Somebody recommended it to me. but it is ideal for fishing on these old reels. It's really high abrasive stuff. This old reel I've got, I've not even bothered taking any rust off it. It's just a really old tool that I'm using. This is my rod. That's my reel. It's a spin fisher reel. It's absolutely dreadful to look at, but let me assure you, it is a dream to fish with. The rod is an absolute nightmare, but in the end of that rod, I don't know if you can see that all the way down there, I've got in a screw-in feeder tip, which is 1 ounce. Nice and light, and I've got a really stiff rod, and it means that any indications I get aren't being absorbed by the rod. It's just all on the tip, which is perfect. It's not for today's fishing, obviously, but it kind of makes sense with this stuff. So anyway, that's enough for me. I want to get this filled up. I'm going to get chucked out on that first cast. I'm not going to bother baiting up. I'm just going to chuck in cast per cast. Next thing is I ain't got a clip on this reel either. It's that old, there's no clip on it. So I'm just going to have to go by sight, which means worst case scenario is I'm going to bait up a larger area and hopefully catch more fish. So, let's go. Right, time to get stuck in. And like I mentioned earlier, modernising things, sometimes, no matter what year it is, you've got to have a McDonald's coffee. Oh. Right. So, hook bait first. Back to basics, hook bait first. I've got my maggots down here. I've even got blue ones in here, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go with double red. Is probably one of the most famous maggot combinations known to man. So I'm going to go with that. Now, my feeder. So I'm just going to plug the bottom of that feeder. Drop a couple of maggots in there, and then plug the top. Nice and easy. So that's my feeder. Let me get some ground bait on that. So as you can see, all those little tiny coils on that air curler have grabbed hold of all that ground bait there, look. Which is what I thought would happen. I've not really tested it until now. That's my hook length, down to my hook. A few maggots in there. Now I'm going to cast it out, see how long it takes for a bite. That'll do. Don't want to be too far out. Sink my line. Just had a bite there, not drop. But let's get rod down, see what happens. There's a chap across from me who's carp fishing, and he's just lifted into a fish, and it's just gone absolutely mad in front of his peg, and he's just shouted to his mate, "It's the sturgeon." So hopefully we won't hook into anything like that today. Oh, well, I missed that one. That's a good sign straight away. Had a couple of bites on drop, and then it weren't long until it went, and it was a bit of a drop like that. So feed it. A few maggots, a couple of casters in there as well. Get my feeder covered in bait, that's it. And obviously trying to get it in the same spot every time, it's quite difficult. Oh, there we go. Only a small fish, I think. Oh no, it's off. But straight away, not even lost all my feed out my feeder yet. That's on. So I've not even got rod down to water that time. Only a small fish, but that's what we're after. Sorry about the noise as well. There we go. So, little tiny roach, that's what we're after. Won't mind plenty of them. My feeder's not even emptied, but it'll do. That's what we want. There's no keep nets on here either, so apologies for not having a nice big cat shot at end of the day. But I don't know. Hopefully we can still have a decent day's fishing. Point is, try something different. from many years ago and just see if it can still be utilised today, to the point where you can still have and enjoy full days fishing. Just gives me opportunity to get my swim fed up. So, had a bite on the drop again then. So what I'm doing is casting out, and I'm actually getting bites on the drop. Like that. Oh, that one's off. Absolutely snided with fish everywhere. And chuck this rod down straight away. I'm getting bites now. That feels a little bit better. It's only a small roach again, I think, but I keep saying that's why we're here. And again, because it's predominantly a carp water, or specimen water shall I say, there's a really healthy stock of silvers in here from what I can see. But there's a good roach there, that one. Absolutely stunning fish, literally fin perfect. Absolutely stunning. Trusty net down here, out of the way. Same spot every time from where I am, so I hope it does for you guys as well. So rod straight down. My line's not sunk, but right, that's on. But that feeder's not even getting to the bottom. And the tip's going. Oh, here's a small one. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to swing that one in. There we go. So again, little tiny small roach that time. But again, all absolutely fin perfect. That was double caster, so I'm going to stick with double caster again. I don't think today it's going to matter what I put on hook. I think they're just going to absolutely hammer it. But we'll see how we go. So that's my hook bait on. And so on and so forth. That's it. So straight down at rest. I'm getting bites straight away. There, look. There we go. A little bit better that one, I think. Might be a better roach, that one. But this is what we're here for. Love this style of fishing. Really, really do. It is a good roach. That one will do. Look at him. On drop. Absolutely stunning. Perfect. Right, let's see if we can bag up on these and hopefully have a pleasant morning's fishing. I've got all day, but I'm only local, and sometimes when I tell Mrs. I want to be a few hours, she knows I'm going to be a while. There we go again. That GG Green with that Brazem Enhancer smells absolutely incredible. Look at that. Not even got rod down and it's going mad already. That's got to be on. It is. Another roach again. I guess after you've caught a few roach, you always know when you've got another one on. There we go, another one of them. This would be one of them days where on pole or on float you'd absolutely bag up on roach. So that's going to have to be another video. Again, I've not been here for many years, and like anywhere, you only have to be like anywhere, you only have to be away for a few years, and things just change. Any venue changes every day. A venue's different. But when you've been away from somewhere for 15 years, especially a fishery, somewhere like this, for example, they're like fine wine. They only get better with age. It's got to be the same spot every time, that. Right, so rod down. Had a bite then straight away. If they've not had a bite for a certain period, then they need to recast. Small fish this time. Oh wow, really small. Brass disgorger. There we go, little tiny roach. Have you done? I reckon that was 3 inches past where I've been fishing that. I'm going to sit and catch some more of these. And see if I can find any decent fish. So while I do that, if you want to have a look at the baits I'm using today, and many more that are absolutely incredible feeds, ground baits, pellets, additives, you name it, clothing, everything's there. Head over to Revolution Baits website. It's an easy click and either go and collect it from depot, or you can have it delivered to your home. Orders over 50 quid are free of charge. It's absolutely amazing stuff. Before Revolution Baits, I was using probably best that I thought money could buy at the time. And now, I know I can go anywhere with pretty much any of the feeds available and have a great day's fishing. So while I'm waiting for that tip to go round and catching a few more fish, I want you guys to head over to the website, have a browse and pick out some favourites. Let me know in comments what you think it'd be best, or what's your favourite, or what you catch a lot of fish on. And if you've not tried any yet, let me know a venue that you would fish it, what you'd use, where you'd use it, and what you'd fish for. Because I'm always up for a challenge. There's bite straight away. Bit better. But a fish is a fish. A little roach again, absolutely pristine fish. With how well preserved they are and how immaculate they are, I dare say that there's going to be a lot of bigger roach in here. Who'd have thought fishing with air curlers can be this effective? Oh, there's a fish. Feels a bit better. That one took it on drop. Feeder wasn't even close to reaching bottom that time. I'm going to net him. Not a massive fish, but better than what we've been having. Ooh. He'll do, that's what we want. Treat. Sail up. Better roach that time. There you go. Nice little roach. And again, when you're wearing these sort of clothes, old clothes, Tommy Hilfiger shirt, classic Halcon Hunt tweed gilet, finest Pringles on the market. With some very comfy leathers on. Don't get me wrong, but this is just so enjoyable. Incredible way of fishing. So I'm getting bites, but I'm not doing it, leaving it. Leave my feeder to it bottom. There it is. Yeah. Small fish. Ooh. I don't like swinging fishing. Little tiny roaching. And also, just while I walk back from having a wee, if any of you out there, anywhere in the world, have got any suggestions, preferably in UK, where I can go to try out fishing with this old gear, if you've got any memory lanes you want me to visit, to go and visit some old venues, to do a specific style of fishing you used to do, using a specific bait, or even using a bit of tackle that you created when you were younger, that you used to catch loads of fish on. Let me know in comments, drop it down there. I mean, look, I'm a free guy, so I'm open to suggestions. I mean, the hair curlers, they're great, they're awesome. There's a few other things that I've read about that I want to try as well, but drop it in comments. Is there a particular method that you used to use when you were younger? Or are you a gentleman? Are you 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, for some reason watching my videos, and you remember doing something as a kid in fishing that used to catch you loads of fish, and it's now like a really weird thing to remember. You wouldn't even suggest it to anybody because it's so silly. Well, let me know. Write it in the comments. Give it to me. Tell me where you did it, what bait you used, and I will do my best to get as close as I can, and I'll visit these venues and I'll give it a go. And if you're still local to any of them, I'll meet you down there and you can show me how to do it and talk me through it. But anyway, coming back from having a wee, so I'm going to crack on and catch some more fish. So whilst I've been fishing, I've noticed I've not brought any weed back with me, any kind of weed whatsoever. When I have pulled my feeder back, just to adjust it a little bit, I have noticed that it's quite soft. So I think I'm fishing on like a really silty bottom, which is pretty much ideal for what I want for this sort of fishing. It might even be that there's a bit of gravel down there as well. That were a big knock. Oof, it's a shame that didn't progress into anything. That were a better fish. Really sharp jab down, that one. What I know is I'm fishing on a really clear bottom out there. So I know that presentation wise, all my pellets, my groundbait, maggots, casters, it'll all be falling onto a nice area. I might have to change my hook as well. Again, keeping things modern. Sometimes you just can't help it. But I've got a Preston Innovations absolute hook length box here, and this keeps my hook lengths absolutely pristine, nice and straight. I can have the tiny little 2-inch ones, 2.5-inch ones in here, and it's nice and slimline as well. So although it's not from back in day, it's a vital bit of kit for storing your hook lengths, and I keep this in this box at all times, and they're all labelled up as well. They come with labels, you can just write on them in permanent marker, hook size, line breaking strain, and hook type, for example. I just keep them in there, and it's nice and small, so it's compact, keeps it out of the way, and it means that if I want to change milk length or I snap off at any point, I can just chuck a fresh one on straight out my Preston hook length box. Oof. Didn't even get a bite that time. Tiny, tiny little roach, that one. He could have been on since I chucked in, to be fair. Right, so I'm going to change milk length. I'm confident that I've got a blunt hook, so it makes sense to get it off, get a fresh one on. It's not going to harm nor cost me anything, and it can only improve what I'm doing. Get a fresh one, so size 16 to 013, so that one there, nice and easy. Take it straight out onto your Preston quick link, drop it in, and then put the gate over, and you're done. So just like that, a fresh hook on, nice sharp point, and we'll see if that changes anything. It might have been that from before it might have just got blunt in transit, or just probably not one at last cast I had last time. It might have just bent tip over on a rock or something, I'm not sure. But one thing I do know is peace of mind is better when you fix the problem. I've got the oldest brolly in the world with me, so hopefully that'll help keep some water off me. Here we go. Fish might hook up that little bit quicker, a little bit easier. That one's on. There's only a small one. But before I was lifting into them and there was just nothing there whatsoever. So, call it a victory, I guess. Again, hooks just come straight out. Little roach again. So again, getting bites on the way down. Slowly turning that reel handle as it's falling. So I'm just aiding in taking, there we go, so it's hit bottom. Now we can take up that slack. It just straightens everything out on the way down, there we go. So you get a nice big round bite now from a nice big chunky roach. So there's lots of fish down there. Oh, there we go. Only a small one again, but more positive that time. Oh, he's a netter in, but I'm going to swing him in. Oh, there we go. There we go. He's a better fish than that one. Probably about 8 ounce him. But definitely a welcome fish, that. So again, small hair curler feeder. Just going to plug the bottom like that, and just by shoving it into ground bait, top it up with maggots, and then go back into my mix and just plug both ends, just give it a rub round in my ground bait, and that coats the entire feeder in my ground bait. And as that falls through water, that'll help keep a cloud going down, drawing all those fish in upper layers down to the bottom. Just that little bit more. That was miles too far to the left, but I'm going to leave it. I'm not here to win any awards. Getting bites already. Can't be that bad. Oh my god, it smells good. Revolution baits, you need to start making candles. 100% need to start making candles. Whee! Nope. Missed that one. That's better. These feeders are so good. They make the most perfect noise as they go in water ever. Absolutely incredible bit of kit. And unfortunately I can't put my name on these ones because this is something from way back in day. Let's try that, see how we got. That's on. Only a small one, but it's on. Right, now I've gone from that small feeder to the big pink one. Now, anything that's pink and fluffy is always great. Same hook length, same hook. And this time all I'm going to do is plug the bottom of that feeder like that. A nice offering, a loose feed. I'm only going to do a few of these, remember, I'm not going to sit on this for the rest of the session. And then really cap off that feeder. Now if you think of the colour of it before it went in this bucket, absolutely bright pink. Well, that's the colour of it now. And that is from all those bits of Velcro on there that help it stick in your hair when you're having your hair done. All the feed just absolutely sticks to it. Now, when I'm not stuck in my landing net, there we go. When I chuck this out, I imagine it's going to be heavy. But this is the entertainment value I've got for you. So I'll come back, a nice big cast. Not bad, it'll do. It's just something different. Nice big heavy feeder that, making its way down to the bottom. And a bite then pretty much straight away. And again, that air grip that's clipped on it, I've just put my quick link swivel link straight into that hole on that grip. It means that I can just get some feed out there quickly. Now, back in the 70s and 80s, when this were popular, it were genius. Obviously now we've got feeders that offer this style of fishing, to be able to bait up quickly, at distance, accurately. But I'm not doing any of that. I'm only fishing short, probably about 15 metre. And it's all just to give it a go, just to see what you guys were up to back in them days. You know, just to see where your heads are at. So far it's working. So, halfway through the video, catching loads of roach, lost a couple of decent fish as well, but we don't need to worry about that. We'll get them, don't worry. Might not be today, but we'll get them. Just want to talk to you about the feeders. So a bit of a closer look. 4 bolts. That there is a hair grip, what you clip in your hair. I've just clipped it through, bent the ends over, like that, and just put 4 bolts through the feeder, and that helps hold it together, give it a bit of weight, and obviously some stability when it's on bottom. Top of air grip is a hole, and you can put your feeder link swivel through there. This is one I've used today, and I've made some other ones as well. So they're the smaller ones, little tiny bit of plastic on top there, which is actually built into the actual hair curler. That's where I put my feeder clip, and again they've just got 2 10mm bolts going through them on the inside like that. I don't know if you can just see in there. Just put the nut on inside and just screw it on, nice and simple. And these are the rollers. You get 8 in a pack in them ones. Come on! Has he gone? Anyway, these are the hair curler rollers. They're called hair curlers, they're called hair rollers, but I think they're the same thing. You get 8 in a pack of them on eBay. You can chop them down to whatever size you want. I've made some small ones and some medium ones out of them. And these are the ones where you get, I think you get 24. These are the hair grips, look. It's like one of those things. You get a pack of them in it. And all I've done is got my feeder, gone like that, made it flat, drill hole, well, I just did it with a screwdriver, and just put 4 bolts in it and cast it out with baiting. Nice and simple. Now, one thing I've learnt about hair rollers / curlers is I took off my hook length, and just to keep it to one side for a minute, I wanted to wrap it up. So I grabbed my feeder, but what I'll do is I'll just get a blank hair roller. And what I did was I just laid it on like that, went round, 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 and it actually holds your hook lengths perfectly without having to hook anything or pin anything in. It actually holds it really, really still, and it's absolutely perfect. So a bit of a buy advantage of these is that, look, they just pull straight off. How cool is that? So if anyone is looking for any tips on how to store your hook lengths or just bits of line, just wrap it up. And then it got me thinking, put one of these in your kit anyway. That's just a hair, that. I don't know where that's from because no one's wore them yet. Is it a hair? They're just bits of nylon, I think. Oh, yeah. Get a hair curler, shove it in your kit. Because you know, if you get any bits of line, or you get a crack off, or you find any on your peg, pick it up, get your hair curler, hold it on, wrap it up like that, and just chuck it in your kit. And that way, you ain't got to worry about trying to shove in a massive ball of line into your pocket or a crisp packet. And they hold it absolutely perfect. So definitely going to keep keeping them in my kit from now on, just a couple on them. And every time I come across a long piece of line or loads that people have discarded on floor, I'm just going to wrap it around a hair curler. So anyway, that's enough of them. Let's get back to fishing. And after all that, we had a small fish hanging on. Little tiny roach. They're all welcome, that's for sure. So, nice big plug of ground bait. Loads of casters and maggots. And then a nice big dunk in there. And there you have it. Nice big full feeder. Clipped on at top with me quick link there, look. There's my hook length. There's my maggots. Ooh. Let's go for a cast. There we go. You know, I don't mind a quiet session every now and again, especially when you're fishing, you get a bit of a quiet spell. Just gives you a chance to have a good look round and think about things more, understand more. Obviously when you're fishing really fast and you're just catching every 5 seconds, you're just going through motions, that's all you're doing, you're not really learning anything. So these quiet spells, you can really soak in and absorb what's going on around you. Especially when you're fishing feeder, you're not really looking out there as much, only when you're sort of casting or you're bringing a fish in. So it's good every now and again just to spend a bit of time just keeping an eye on water out there, see what's happening. You might get opportunity to cast to any showing fish, for example. I mean, there's loads of big fish showing in middle, but 1, I'm not fishing for them, and 2, I'm not geared up for them either. But it's definitely an option for next time. Wouldn't mind coming down next time with probably 2 rods. And just probably corn, luncheon meat, just some big fish baits. This ground bait smells absolutely incredible. You know, I've had a bit of time off fishing. There's a small knock. I've had a bit of time off fishing just because of some problems at home. Me and my partner, we've had a miscarriage. When I say we, because before, up until now, I've only ever understood a miscarriage as something a woman goes through. And let me tell you something now, fellas and fellettes, but you fellas as well, man, does it hit me hard. Really hurts. If any of you guys ever suffered a miscarriage with your partner, hold her tight, make sure she's alright. Just make sure she's got everything that she needs and wants. And just cradle her for that. It's only a short period. You have to sort of really focus on until it's sort of died down and everything. So it's a really difficult situation to talk about, but please don't forget yourselves. Really easy to lose yourself. I honestly thought I was going to be trying my hardest to keep my missus head straight. Meant time off work for her. Really difficult to watch your partner go through that. It was only until about a week after it absolutely destroyed me. And being a man, you know, being a fella, you don't really want to talk about it because you're showing weakness. But trust me, just talk. Even if it's to the dog. Wait till everyone's gone out and just talk to the dog. I've been reluctant to come fishing for nearly 6 weeks simply because I've not had any motivation to get out of the house. But even more so, I've not wanted to leave my partner's side at all. So, guys, just take it easy, yeah? I think I want to reel in on this one. I'm going to punch it back out with a small feeder on. So, big feeder off, small hair curler feeder back on, fresh maggots, and then top it back up. So plug it, a few maggots in there, and then cap it off, give it a rub, there we go. That's what I've come for. See if we can catch one shallow like this, watch. There's a bite, there's a bite, there's a bite. No. Come on the fishes, there's a bite. There we go, that's on. Only a small roach. What we're catching, a tiny roach in. Hooked just inside a gob, like that. Absolutely millions of those out there under that surface. As soon as that feeder goes in, I'm getting them bites. These fish are probably hooked up in water, and feeder's probably taking them down. But whilst ever I'm doing it, I'm keeping a column of bait going in. That's it. Another feeder full. Up and over. There we go. I'm using that far peg as my marker over there. And then a gap in trees on that far bank. I'm using a reflection of that in the water as my marker. So basically it's just target practice because I'm not fishing to clip. Definitely a few other ground baits worth considering coming to places like this, fishing for silvers, especially heavily stocked with silvers places. Revolution baits, skimmer and bream dark, or skimmer and bream natural, two very good mixers. When fished in conjunction with each other, make a very good mix. If you watch my other video where I use it at Southfield on pole, fishing with a top kit, absolutely bag up on it, really good mix. Really spurs fish onto feeding, really confident mix as well. Definitely an option. I've just brought one mix today, just to stop any confusion. I just thought, just bring it, it's really versatile. It's not just a silvers venue, it is a big carp venue as well. Oh, Mr. Perch. There we go. Mr. Perch, look at him. He's an happy guy. Little baby bass. Is that on? That's on. There we go, better fish. Take this one nice and steady. He's going right over to my right hand side. Hopefully it's a little skimmer. It'd be nice to, oh, I think he's off. Oh, he's off. Oh no. That feeder is so light when it falls, it literally tells the fish on its way down where to go. Oh, that was a good bite. Not a big fish, but not really hooked on that one. Oh yes, another good perch. There we go. A bonus perch that. Obviously a lot smaller than what we've just lost, but hopefully we can find whatever that was that's on. Feeder, I've plugged it both ends and it is fed with mainly casters on that one. Just a different recharge, that's all. I'm going to see if it does anything. It just gives me any different. I just need some different results, that's all, from tail. I just need to see something different. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. She's getting bigger. There we go. Take it really steady. Just try and be really careful with it this time. Where my look, it's a roach, but wearing a big pike. So remember as well, this tip on this rod's really soft, but the rod itself is just an absolute log. So I can't go bullying anything. There's my feeder. I think it might be a decent perch actually, this. Feels a bit perchy. I definitely need this thing. What we got? What we got? What we got? Skimmer? That skimmer? Oh, a foul up to skimmer. Please come in. I just need a skimmer. Come on. Yeah, boy! Go on, the skimmers! Well, that is what we're after. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is probably a fish to end on. Now, I foul hooked him and reeled him in, that's why he's really lively. But it just goes to show that really basic fishing tactics using some really old gear. I mean, some of this kit's nearly 50 years old. It just goes to show it still can be done. A really old spin fisher reel. I don't even know what brand my rod is. It's a swing tip rod. I'm sat on a wicker basket. I'm using the best baits on the market. Revolution baits, GG Green, C-nut, Little Bees micro pellets with a bit of Brazem Enhancer in there. Fortunately, we've lost some fish that would have been nice to get in, much bigger than this one. But next time, we'll definitely target some of them bigger fish. But for now, from me and this little fella, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on next one. Right, buddy, let's get you back.